Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the foundations of a new idea, integral journalism. So, when we last left off, we were right at the point where Stefan Schultz, the founder of this concept, realized that journalism needed a fundamental paradigm shift. He wanted to recenter its service to society, especially in our age of, algorithmic distortion. But for him, serving society didn't just mean critically enlightening people like it did in the modern era. No, his understanding of it turned journalism into something else entirely, a kind of developmental helper for societal maturity. And we're talking about specific goals here, helping society get better at handling complexity, at self-reflection, developing what he calls resonance intelligence, fostering mature discourse, and building real transformative power. So his last big step was to figure out how exactly journalism works in society so it can be as helpful as possible. And that one crucial question, well, that kicked off a whole new chapter in Stefan's learning journey. Starting in 2022, it led him all the way to MIT for a 2-year change management process. The goal was to embed this system of integral journalism into the whole fabric of all the other social systems out there. He came up with this meta-systemic map that shows all these interconnections, from the psyche of individuals to social systems like politics and the economy, all the way up to the entire ecosystem. So what's the thread that ties all of this together? Well, he identified what you could call a central nervous system that connects all these different systems, and wow, has it changed over time. It's called the infosphere. And you have to understand, this isn't some neutral space. It's a battleground where public opinion is formed and where countless different agents are all competing for influence. We're talking about all kinds of agents operating in there. Bots, corporate-funded science, political propaganda, you name it. But among them, there's a special kind of super agent, journalism. Now, with all its flaws, journalism is supposed to be the one actor that was designed from the start to serve the common good, not its own interests. But in the fight for public opinion, it's losing influence. Quantitatively, it's just drowned out by the flood of content. And qualitatively, you see it in things like news avoidance and crumbling trust. And of course, this crisis in journalism and the infosphere isn't happening in a vacuum. It's all part of the systemic crises of our time. Let's break this down. First, there's a crisis of meaning. With all the subjective truths and subjectivism, what can we even believe anymore? Second, a crisis of sense-making. The whole postmodern technical apparatus we use to make sense of the world is fraying and pulling us deeper into isolated bubbles. Third, you have these existentially threatening crises in our tech, eco, health, and psychological systems. Think AI, climate change, loneliness. And fourth, a crisis of governance, where politics just can't seem to solve these problems anymore. So, what's the crucial point here? What connects all of this? I know, it's pretty depressing, right? But Stefan sees a common lever behind all of it. He argues that all these polycrises have one common denominator. The actors in all these systems are just too immature to handle the new rising levels of complexity. It doesn't matter if you're looking at politics, the platform economy, or journalism. It's just like Amy Mann sang in the movie Magnolia, "It's not going to stop till we wise up." But what this means is that we have a clear goal to shoot for, a more mature society. And that gives journalism a clear mission: to work on healing the infosphere and to send powerful developmental impulses for maturation into it. And you can already see visions of this more mature society existing today, right now, in different niches. Think about things like the circular economy, or villages with 100% renewable energy, cities like Ghent that are living by the commons principle, sociocratic housing projects where a more mature way of living together is cultivated, salutogenic health systems, integral political formats like deep democracy, and media concepts that serve society like peace journalism, and hopefully, soon, integral journalism. So to wrap this up, let's look at a thought from the integral thinker Rob Smith about how any kind of maturation really works. He says a system stays pretty stable as long as a fundamental change seems more painful than the pain of just staying in the current state. It's only when the pressure to change becomes unbearable, when almost nothing is working anymore, that we start to look for a profound solution. And that is exactly where we are now. And that's precisely where integral journalism wants to help. Which leaves us with a final question to consider. What if journalism's primary role wasn't just to report on the world's problems, but to help us mature enough to actually solve them? Thanks for joining this explainer.